It started with the little things. At first, I thought it was just my imagination, my family's constant references to my ex, Luke. But over time, I couldn't ignore it. They never missed an opportunity to praise him. Every family gathering seemed to turn into a glowing tribute to his perfection. It didn't matter what we were celebrating. Thanksgiving, Christmas, birthdays. Somehow, Luke was always the topic of conversation. I remember the first time it really hit me. My mom, as she carved the turkey at Thanksgiving, casually remarked, "Luke was so good at this. He always had such a steady hand." My dad joined in. Luke was already partner at his firm by the time he was your age. Real go-getter. I stood there, fork in hand, staring at the turkey, barely able to process the words. It wasn't just a compliment. It was a comparison, and it was happening again. I smiled, of course. What else could I do? "I'm sure I'll manage," I said, my voice tight, but deep down I was unraveling. Every time they mentioned Luke, it felt like they were slowly chipping away at me, at my self-esteem. And what hurt more than anything was that she didn't defend me. My girlfriend, Emily, would give me these apologetic looks, but she'd never say anything. Never stood up for me. As the months passed, I realized I wasn't just competing with an ex, I was competing with a ghost, a perfect version of him that my family adored and wanted me to measure up to. It became clear if I didn't put a stop to this now, I'd lose myself in the process. So, I made a decision. One that would change everything. The next family dinner was a disaster waiting to happen, and I knew it as soon as we pulled into the driveway. Emily had asked me earlier in the week if I was okay with coming to her parents' house again, and I'd said yes, though I wasn't sure I believed my own words. I'd learned to brace myself for the same familiar pattern: smiles, forced pleasantries, and a few well-meaning, but cutting remarks about Luke, always just below the surface. It didn't take long for the comments to start. Dinner was barely in full swing when my mom leaned over to me, her voice laced with casual admiration. Luke always had the best taste in wine. Remember the bottle he brought last time? So sophisticated. Such a great gift. I swallowed my bite, my fork hovering mid-air. "Yeah, I remember," I muttered, trying to keep my voice neutral. Emily sat next to me, giving me one of those looks she always did when the subject of Luke came up, like she felt bad but didn't know how to change it. My eyes shot to hers, silently pleading for her to say something, anything. But she didn't. My mind raced, thinking back to our earlier conversations. How many times had I been told I was just as good as Luke? Or worse, better in some ways. It felt like an endless cycle of comparison, and I was growing more and more resentful. But I kept my cool, biting my tongue, reminding myself it wasn't Emily's fault. Her family had always been like this, and it was probably too late to change now. Then came my dad. His voice boomed over the table, cutting through the small talk. "So Sarah, you still planning to stay with this career? I know Luke always talked about his ambitions moving up so fast." "What's your plan, huh?" I froze. That was it. I was a civil engineer. I loved my job. Sure, I wasn't a partner at a firm at 28, but that didn't mean I was failing. I had a solid career, I was good at what I did, and I was damn proud of it. But none of that mattered to my dad. To him, Luke was the yardstick.